A spitting image of Nicki Minaj named Lara arrives in the middle of a field, with the GPS telling her that she has arrived at her destination. Confused, she leaves a voicemail for the person who paid her to go there and asks what to do next. After the call, she spots a red box with her name. Inside is a card that says thank you, leaving Lara confused. As she walks back to her car, Lara becomes dizzy and faints. A car arrives shortly after, and Lara is dragged away. But boy, I bet it was a struggle. At a lavish banquet, two thieves named Kay and Riley disguise themselves as waiters. Upon scanning the mansion with their tools, they discover an unusual detail. There are no security cameras either inside or outside the estate. Though the lack of surveillance feels odd, the thieves, experienced in their craft, don't dwell on it since the opportunity for easy riches is too tempting to pass up. Kay and Riley decide to wait until the end of the party, when they will be the last ones to leave. Afterward, they quietly retrieve the key to the mansion and slip back in under the cover of night. The next morning, after confirming the fine-ass homeowner, Pierce, has left, they begin their heist, stealing a considerable amount of jewelry and cash. They plan to enjoy a few more days of luxury before moving on. As Kay relaxes on the couch, Riley matches with a billionaire on a dating app and wants to take a 5-mile hike to meet him. Your boy really hungry for some eggplant. That night, a blinding light wakes Kay, and when she looks out the window, she sees the homeowner return earlier than expected. Panicked, Kay quickly straightens the bed and runs downstairs to hide. But by the time she reaches the stairs, the homeowner has already entered the house. With no other choice, she flees to the second floor, trying to stay out of sight. To her surprise, Pierce isn't alone. He's with a guest, a journalist, who wants to interview Pierce. Why these two look like they finna poke each other's rears? The journalist tries to uncover some of the company's secrets, but Pierce avoids his questions. During their conversation, the journalist drinks some wine, which was drugged by Pierce. As the journalist begins to feel dizzy, Pierce reveals his true colors, berating him for wasting his time. The journalist tries to fight back, but he soon collapses, unable to move. He sees Kay hiding on the other side of the room, but his body was too stiff to call for help. Kay, terrified, stays frozen, watching as the man is dragged away by Pierce. After confirming Pierce has left, Kay rushes to pack her things. In her panic, she spills a glass of wine, but she quickly gathers her belongings and leaves. However, in the chaos, one of the stolen pieces of jewelry falls to the ground. When Pierce returns, he notices the spilled wine and quickly realizes someone else had been in the house. He searches the area, eventually finding the necklace behind the sofa. It was then that he realized Kay is still inside. As he picks up his phone and puts the house on lockdown, Kay calls the police. But just as she attempts to reach out, the signal is cut off and Pierce's voice echoes around her. She learns that the mansion's lack of cameras wasn't just about avoiding evidence. It was also due to the high-tech nature of the house, which blocked all signals and concealed every entrance and exit. Pierce warns Kay against resisting, urging her to surrender quietly. When Kay checks, she realizes all the doors and windows are indeed locked. Unwilling to give up, she creeps upstairs to search for another escape route. Suddenly, she hears footsteps drawing closer, forcing her to return to her hiding spot under the sofa. Pierce, now searching the house, arrives in the same room. He circles the sofa, clearly suspecting someone was nearby. Honestly, this is the worst hiding spot, yet the man blind AF. Knowing she can't remain hidden for long, Kay grabs an ornament and hurls it downstairs. The noise works as a distraction, as Pierce, who's armed with a gun, heads toward the sound. Taking advantage of the moment, Kay bolts upstairs. Reaching the third floor, she finds herself trapped with no clear escape. Desperate, she grabs a chair and smashes it against the window, but the reinforced glass refuses to break. As she prepares to strike again, she turns and sees Pierce standing outside, watching her through the window. Terrified, Kay flees in search of another way out, though the mansion offers no easy exits. Finally, she discovers a vent. Using her tools from the theft, she unscrews the cover, removes the protective grate, and squeezes through the narrow opening. Outside, Kay realizes she's too high above the ground to jump safely. After some thought, she moves towards the pool and summons the courage to leap. The noise alerts Pierce, who rushes outside just as Kay climbs out of the water. By the time he reaches the pool, she's gone. The only sign of her escape is a trail of wet footprints leading away. Pierce follows the trail, unaware that Kay had deliberately misled him by hiding underwater and holding her breath. This man has to have cataracts or something, because how he not finna see her there? When Kay surfaces to catch her breath, she spots Pierce turning back toward the pool. Panicking, she swims to the center to avoid detection. Pierce notices her and approaches, prompting Kay to plead with him, insisting she hasn't seen anything and begs him to let her go. Skeptical, Pierce dismisses her claims, stating she isn't convincing enough to fool him. Kay tries to warn him that her accomplices will alert the authorities if anything happens to her, but Pierce is unmoved, confident they wouldn't risk their own safety for her. Without hesitation, he raises his gun. At that moment, his phone rings. Suspicious, he checks it, discovering that the police has arrived at the mansion. Kay's earlier call for help had worked. However, Pierce remained unfazed. Calmly, he presses a button on his phone, activating a mechanism that causes steel plates to slide over the pool, trapping Kay inside. He then greets the officer Brown at the door, acting as if everything is normal. When the police mentions receiving a report of a dangerous situation, Pierce denies any issues. Still, the officer insists on inspecting the mansion, determined to verify the report for themselves. Pierce offers him a drink, but homeboy too smart for that. Pierce casually claims the wine spill was an accident. However, the sight makes the police more suspicious. Realizing the situation is escalating, Pierce discreetly deactivates the signal-blocking technology in the mansion to ease their doubts. The officer proceeds to check the mansion, heading toward the elevator. Pierce tries to dissuade them by explaining that it only leads to his office, which contains sensitive trade secrets. Despite his protests, the officers insist on inspecting it. Just then, Pierce's phone rings. It's his superior, responding to Pierce's earlier alert. He steps aside to take the call, giving him a chance to stall the police further. Meanwhile, Kay, still trapped beneath the pool, notices a device below the water that she guesses controls the steel plate overhead. After some time, she finally manages to break the device, creating a gap in the steel plate. With great effort, Kay climbs out of the water and escapes. Back at the entrance, the police, unconvinced by Pierce's explanations, is about to leave. Their slow departure bought time for the mansion's gates to close, sealing Kay inside just as she approaches. Okay, even this policeman, blind and deaf because homegirl was screaming. Though devastated, her will to survive keeps her going. She runs to the underground garage, hoping to find another way out. Upon entering, Kay accidentally triggers a car alarm, drawing Pierce's attention. She quickly hides under a car, waiting for him to leave. As soon as it's safe, she creeps out and heads for the elevator. Panicking, she presses a random button. When the elevator doors open, she's shocked to see the journalist from earlier, tied to a gurney, silently pleading for help. Oh, Pierce, freakily gay. Kay quickly ducks behind the gurney just as Pierce enters the elevator to check. Not noticing her, he leaves, allowing Kay a brief moment of safety. While hiding, Kay discovers a hidden button in the elevator. Pressing it causes the elevator to plummet rapidly. When it finally stops, Kay finds herself in a massive underground facility. As the elevator doors shut behind her, with no way to reopen them, she has no choice but to explore further. She enters a large room filled with strange instruments, like a laboratory or a sex dungeon. Her horror deepens when she discovers a body nearby. In the surrounding rooms, the sight grows even more nightmarish. Human figures suspended by chains, mutilated beyond recognition. The girl from the beginning looking more like Nicki Minaj. Terrified but resolute, Kay records the disturbing scenes on her phone. On the surface, Pierce continues searching the mansion, but remains unaware of her discovery below. Suddenly, an intrusion alert blares on Pierce's phone. He quickly realizes someone has accessed his secret underground facility. Meanwhile, Kay, deeply focused on recording the horrors around her, gets scared and accidentally drops her phone into one of the rooms. As she tries to figure out what to do, one of the restrained figures begin to stir, struggling violently. Terrified, Kay abandons her phone and nopes the F out of there. When she returns to the elevator, she finds Pierce waiting for her. This time, he's determined not to let her escape. In desperation, Kay grabs a scalpel and stabs him before rushing back toward the exit. However, her path is blocked by the restrained journalist. Apologizing, she drags him aside and manages to slip through the doors just before Pierce can catch her. Despite her escape from the elevator, Kay is still trapped within the mansion. Just then, a car roars through the gates. It's Pierce's girlfriend, Jessica, who has arrived home unexpectedly. Kay runs to Jessica, begging for help, but the sight of blood on Kay's hands alarms Jessica. Also probably because Jessica racist. She draws a pistol from her bag, ignores Kay's pleas, and forces her back into the house at gunpoint. Pierce returns to the ground floor, and Jessica demands an explanation. Silent at first, Pierce eventually asks her to hand over the gun. Kay tries to intervene, but Jessica hands it over without hesitation, revealing she's also involved in the horrific human experiments. It turns out that the advanced technology developed by their company was based on these experiments. See, this why I don't F with people whose parents look like siblings. Desperate, Kay bluffs, claiming she has already sent the incriminating footage to an accomplice who will release it online if anything happens to her. Pierce hesitates briefly before knocking her unconscious with a tranquilizer. When Kay wakes up, she's tied to a bed, just like the journalist. The following day, Riley casually returns back to the mansion, unaware of the chaos that happened. He calls out for Kay but receives no response. Assuming she isn't home, he leaves a message and begins enjoying himself at the mansion again. While wandering around, he accidentally steps on shattered glass and cuts his foot. As he tends to the wound, Jessica stumbles into the house, covered in blood. Riley assumes it's Kay and calls out, but before he could react, Pierce suddenly appears, sending Riley into a panic. Realizing something is terribly wrong, Riley hides in the bathroom, watching in horror as Pierce casually enters the shower to wash up. These two getting their freak on while Riley just listens, then realizes that Kay is in grave danger. Riley has no choice but to remain hidden, waiting for the perfect moment. By midnight, he finally hears Pierce leave. Quietly stepping out, Riley seizes Jessica's pistol and aims it at her, demanding to know Kay's whereabouts. Jessica, realizing she's caught, pretends to cooperate, claiming she'll lead Riley to Kay. As she passes by a table, she subtly grabs a remote control and presses it, causing loud music to play behind Riley. Distracted, Riley glances back, giving Jessica the opportunity to lunge for the gun. In the struggle, Riley pushes Jessica hard, accidentally impaling her ass on a sharp ornament, causing her to die instantly. Before Riley can process what happened, Pierce returns, alerted by the noise. Riley quickly points the gun at him, forcing Pierce to lead him to the underground facility. As they descend, Riley discovers the journalist's lifeless body, but still doesn't see Kay. Taking advantage of Riley's momentary distraction, Pierce grabs a scalpel and attacks. A gunshot echoes through the lab, waking Kay. Though injured, Riley manages to survive and stumbles to Kay's location, using a keycard he found to free her. He claims to have wounded Pierce during their fight and urges Kay to escape and call the police. Kay remembers a phone she left in another lab containing crucial evidence. She uses the keycard to retrieve it, but as she turns to leave, Riley suddenly pulls a gun on her. At that moment, Pierce emerges from the shadows, revealing his deal with Riley. For a price of $1 million, Riley agrees to let Pierce go and retrieve the phone. Before Kay can react, one of the mutated test subjects, Lara, moves and tries to strangle Riley. And that's what your sour cream trifling ass gets. Taking advantage of the chaos, Kay runs. Pierce, remaining calm, subdues the creature using a chemical compound, then shoots Riley. He turns his attention to Kay, who tries to escape through a locked door, but can't find a way out. Determined, Kay confronts Pierce directly, pretending to hand over the phone. However, when he searches the phone, he can't locate the video evidence. Frustrated, Pierce is annoyed at Kay for wasting his time. Unaware she stuck one of his own adhesive, coma-inducing compounds on the phone. As he begins to feel dizzy, Kay shoves him into the transformation chamber. His screams echo as Kay grabs the keycard and heads for the exit. Just as Kay reaches the elevator, Pierce reappears, mutating due to exposure to the chemicals. He attacks her, but she manages to fend him off with a powerful kick. Scrambling into the elevator, she presses the close button just in time to crush his head. Finally free, Kay sits outside, waiting as sirens echo in the distance. What's the moral of the story? Not to get your ass caught when stealing. What did you guys think of this Tubi thriller?
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.